Hello everybody, welcome to Israel's Church of Living God. I'm Brother Rodney and Brother Caleb will be reading today. We'll be doing a lesson today entitled simply, Tongues. Tongues. Because, you know, we have people that claim that they speak in tongues, which they mean, when they say they're speaking in tongues, they're actually speaking what is known as glossolalia. We're going to talk about speaking in tongues, the way the Bible describes it, and we will also talk about how we are supposed to use our tongues and not supposed to slander people or talebear and stuff like that. So we're going to start the lesson off though. We're going to start the lesson off in Exodus the 4th chapter, because we're going to be dealing with both things, with tongues and how you're supposed to control your tongue. Speaking in tongues and how you're supposed to control your tongue. Now, we're going to go to Exodus the 4th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. Exodus 4 and 1. It was a subject that we were pretty much talking about this week when I talked to some of the brothers on the phone. This is one of the subjects that we were dealing with this week. So I'm just kind of like setting the record straight with this tongues thing. Exodus 4 and 1. Exodus 4 and 1. Will you get it? Go ahead and read it.
And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee.
Now this is when the children, this is when Moses talking to the Lord and telling them about the children of Israel. They're not going to believe me when I come to them and tell them about you. They're not going to believe me. Go ahead and read.
Verse 2. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it onto the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
Now, this is the Lord just doing this to show Moses that, look, believe in me. Look at what's about to happen. I'm going to turn this rod, this rod into a serpent, and then turn it back into a rod again, so that Moses can believe the Lord. Verse 5, what did it say?
That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee.
That they may believe that God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, have appeared unto them. Skip down to verse 10. Skip down to verse 10. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant.
Now Moses said, I am not eloquent. In other words, I don't know how to speak well. He's trying to get out of going to the children of Israel, like the Lord is sending him. So he's trying to get out of it. I cannot speak well, Lord. Go ahead and read.
But I am slow of speech. And of a slow tongue.
He said, I am slow of speech and a slow tongue, Lord. But the Lord knows who he is. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth?
He said, who have made man's mouth? Because God is the one who made man's mouth. Go ahead and read.
Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seen, or the blind?
Go ahead.
Have not I, the
He said,
Lord?
I'm the one who made the mouth, Moses. I made the deaf, the blind, the dumb. I made all of these. So in other words, don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. Go ahead and read.
12.
No, we're going to stop right there. Verse 10. He said, I have made the mouth. Now, let's go to Genesis. Because not only did he make the mouth, he made the languages. He gave man the languages.
Yes,
let's
sir.
go to Genesis, the 11th chapter. Genesis 11. So, you know, God understands every word that's coming out of man's mouth. Otherwise, the book say, you know, man going to be judged by every idle word that come out of his mouth. If you don't know every language, then how is he going to judge you by what comes out of your mouth? Genesis 11. And then too, we are one of the last languages to come along, which is English, which came around 800 and something AD. So what about all these other languages like Greek and, you know, the Nigerian languages and all these ancient languages? He understands them. He understands us. He understands them too. He understood them before he understood the English language or gave us the English language.
Come on, brother.
Genesis 11:1. Genesis 11:1. So he gave man languages. Genesis 11:1. Go ahead and read it.
And the whole earth was of one language.
How you think they got this one language? God gave it to them.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
And of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
Go ahead.
And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language.
See, they are one and of all one language. They all are one and they are one language. Go ahead and read.
And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Go ahead.
Go to, let us go down.
Now wait a minute. You see what he said? Go to, let us go down. Who is this us?
Come on.
There's more than one right here, then, ain't it? Because
Yes,
us would imply, you know, some people say, well, couldn't he be talking to angels? Well, angels got calf feet and foreheads and, you know, so who is he talking to? He talking to the other Godhead member. He said, let us go down. Go ahead.
And there confound their language.
And we're going to go down and confuse the language. Go ahead and read.
And they may know, and they may not understand one another's speech.
That they might not understand one another's speech. Because see, it's, you know, that's how the Lord did. That's how he confused the language, by giving this man this language, that man that language, this man that language. And now they don't understand what because all of them want one speech at first. Now he has given men other languages.
Yes, sir.
Just like he gave them that one language.
Come on.
Read that again.
Verse 7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
Go ahead.
So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. And they left off to build the city.
Go ahead.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from this did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
So now he has scattered them upon all the face of the earth. He gave men different languages. He confused the languages, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
But now let's go back though. Let's see, because, you know, it wasn't like, you know, me and Caleb, we both come from the same tribe or the same, say for instance, we come out of Shem. Well, all the Shem spoke the same language. Say they came out of Ham. All the Ham spoke the same language. They came out of Japhet. All the Japhet spoke the same language. And they all scattered abroad. Each family scattered abroad. Let's show you. Back up to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Back up to Genesis 10. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Genesis 10 and 1. Go ahead and read that.
Now these are the generations of the son of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
And unto them, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now these are the ones that populated the earth. Skip down to verse 32.
32. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations.
In their nations. See, they were all one at first, but now they went into their nation. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. Go ahead and read.
And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
Now, by these were the nations divided in the earth by the flood. So remember, the Lord, he confounded the lazy, he confused the first, and then he scattered them abroad, didn't he? Now, let's show you how he scattered them now. Go back to verse 2. Go back to verse 2. Go ahead and read.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Jabin, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus, and the sons of Gomar, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tersha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dudaman. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land. After the Lord, he confounded the language already, then scattered. This right here is telling you what happened after.
Yes, sir.
He confounded the language and then scattered. Read that verse 5 again.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue.
Every one after his tongue.
After their families.
After their families. Go ahead.
In their nations.
In their nations. So the Lord confounded the language first, then they split off into their nations. Skip down to verse 20.
These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues,
go ahead.
In their countries, and in their nations.
So Ham went with Ham, his seeds went with them. I mean, the Hamites, they all gathered together and went into one part of the earth, which is the southern continent of the earth, and they all spoke the same language. See what it said right there? It said, these are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, in their nations. When the Lord scattered them abroad, he scattered Ham his way. He scattered Japheth his way, didn't he? Which are the Gentiles.
Yes, sir.
Then he scattered Shem too. Skip down to verse 31.
These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues,
go ahead.
In their lands, after their nations.
Oh, so Japheth's seed didn't understand what Shem's seed was saying. Shem's seed didn't understand what Ham's seed was saying. But each son of like Ham, Shem, and Japheth, they seed knew what they were saying. That's why they all took off together.
Indeed.
And divided in their families, in their tongue, in their nations.
Simple.
Everybody understand? Let's go now. Let's go to, let's look up the definition for tongue. We're going to Reader's Digest, the Bible Encyclopedia, and we're going to look up the word tongue. What does the word tongue mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tongue. Power of speech.
Power of speech,
Or articulation. To loose one's tongue. It says manner or style of speaking. A smooth tongue. And it says mere speech as contrasted with fact or deed. And number 7 says utterance.
Utterance. This was what we did when we talk about tongue. We are talking about language or utterance.
Number 8 is a language.
A language. That's what I'm looking for right there.
Yes, sir. A language, vernacular, or dialect.
A language, a vernacular, or dialect. This is what tongues mean.
Yes, sir.
Because some people think that you could just go ahead and start babbling, by saying, you could just say, anything out your mouth, and that's a language. No, that ain't no language. That's babbling. That's all that is. Let's go now. Let's go to Psalms, the 19th chapter, Psalms 19. I'm not going to talk about nobody today. Psalms 19. We're just going to set the record straight when we're dealing with these tongues. Psalms 19 and 1. Psalms 19 and 1. Because ain't no... because people think the spirit gonna come on, they just gonna start speaking something. You ain't just gonna start speaking anything now. I'm not gonna say that it didn't happen in the Bible, but I tell you what, I ain't never seen it where the spirit came on somebody and they start speaking French. They speak English, but they start speaking French. Now I know it's done in the Bible, but anybody ever seen that? Psalm 19, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Psalm 19 and 1, because God knows every word that comes out of our mouth. Go ahead and read.
Amen. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech.
Day unto day uttereth speech. Go ahead.
And night unto night showeth knowledge.
Uh-huh.
There is no speech, nor language, where their voice is not heard.
There's no speech or no language where their voice is not heard. What is this speech or language? It is your tongue, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
It's talking about you know how you what language you speak. English, Swahili, Greek, French, German. You understand? This is what we're dealing with. Men's languages. So he said, there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. God hears everybody. And everybody's got a language. Unless you just dumb and you don't know how to talk or whatever. I don't mean dumb meaning, you know, I'm just saying you don't know how to talk.
Come on, brother.
Now, let's go now. Let's go to even people that don't know how to talk do sign language, don't they?
Indeed. Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter. 2 Peter 2. And we're going to pick it up at verse 15. 2 Peter 2 and 15. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Belial.
Balaam,
Yes, sir. The son of Bozor. Who loved the wages of unrighteousness.
Go ahead.
But was rebuked for his iniquity.
He was rebuked for his iniquity. Go ahead and read.
The dumb ass speaking with man's voice.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You see what that? He said the dumb ass speaking with man's voice. You mean God can command an ass to speak like a man? To speak man's language? He even birds even have a language. Fish have a language. Animals, period, have their own language. Who gave it to them? God is the one who created them. God is the one who gave them their language.
Hallelujah.
But right here he said the dumb ass speaking with man's voice. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet.
Now, let's go back and look at this. He said the dumb ass speaking with man's voice. Let's go to Numbers, the 22nd chapter. Numbers 22. Numbers 22. God have caused an ass to speak with man's voice.
It's written.
Let's show you this God we dealing with, ain't it?
Hallelujah, brother.
He can command a donkey to speak with a man's voice. What other God you seen do something like this? You ain't never heard nothing like this before. Numbers 22 and 28. You ain't got to answer it, because I already know the answer to it. You ain't never heard nothing like this before. Numbers 22, and we're going to pick it up at verse 15. I'm sorry, 22 and 28. Numbers 22 and 28. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass.
And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass. Go ahead and read.
And she said unto Belial, What have I done unto thee?
Now this the ass or the donkey is talking to his master Balaam. He turned around and said, because it was, you know, the ass that saw the angel, right? And so when the ass saw the angel, he stooped down some and he pushed Balaam up against the wall. Balaam like, what's going on with this thing? He get ready to kill him or whatever. But the ass turned around and started speaking to him. Read it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It says, And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass. And she said unto Balaam, What have I done unto thee?
The ass said, What have I done to thee? Go ahead.
That thou hast smitten me this 3 times. And Balaam said unto the ass.
Now he's talking back. I probably would have freaked out. What is it? This thing talking. I would have jumped up off and got away from him for a minute. Did you just say something? But look at what. Look, he started talking to him. Go ahead and read.
And Balaam said unto the ass, Because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now would I kill thee.
He said, I wish I had you mocking me, you know. If I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you. But the thing is, the ass is talking to him. No, he's talking to the ass. The ass talking with man's voice. And not only he talking with man's voice, he's talking his language.
Yes, sir.
Because Balaam understands the ass, and the ass understands what Balaam is saying. So he's speaking his language. Go ahead and read.
30.
Uh-huh.
And the ass said unto Belial, am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day?
Go ahead.
Was ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, nay.
So he said, you know, I ain't never done you like this from the first time you started riding me up to now. I ain't never done nothing like this to you. Have I? He said, no. But I would have been tripping out though. How is this thing talking to me like this? Verse 31. Go ahead.
Then the Lord opened the eyes of Belial, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way. And his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face.
Now he knew why the ass had pushed him up against the wall like that. Because that ass was getting out of the way of that angel.
Yes, sir.
But then the Lord opened the ass mouth and started talking to Belial. And Belial started talking. Not only was he using man's voice, but he was speaking his language. Now God can cause the animals to speak, man.
Come on, brother.
And not only that, they already got their own speech. How do they communicate? You know how you see the two birds that get together fall in love? How do they fall in love unless they communicate? You understand what I'm saying? Let's go now. How do animals get together except they communicate? Let's go now. Let's go to James, the 3rd chapter. We don't understand what they're saying, but they understand what they're saying.
Sure enough.
And not only that, sometimes they can, in some cases, they can understand what we're saying. But man has to train them, though, don't they? James, the 3rd chapter, James 3, and we're going to pick up at verse 7. James 3 and 7. Go ahead and read.
For every kind of beast, and of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and have been tamed of mankind.
See, that's how they learn, because they are tamed of men. Even you see parrots talking, don't you? Birds talking, in man's voices, in man's language. Go ahead and read.
But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil.
Go ahead.
Full of deadly poison.
The tongue is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. That's why you got to watch what you are saying.
Yes, sir.
It is full of, you know, you hear about that thing about sticks and stones may break my bones, but name will never hurt me. Words will never hurt me. Yes, they do.
Come on, brother.
Words hurt. They cut down to the soul, don't they?
Come on.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 9. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God.
See, you can't bless God and then turn around and curse men which are made of the similitude of God. Go ahead and read.
Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be.
He said, my brother, these things ought not so to be. You're not supposed to do this. Go ahead and read.
11. Doth the fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine figs, either a vine figs, so can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh.
A fountain cannot yield fresh water and salt water. And we're going to get back to the speaking in tongues things in a minute. But I just want to lay this on the line right here about the things that come out of our mouth.
Yes, sir.
You understand? And all of us are guilty of it. I'm guilty of it myself. How, you know, you're not supposed to be saying, blessing God, and then turn around and cursing men. All of us are guilty of it. But these things we have to work on. We have to practice. You know, some of us are just coming into the Word of God. You know, and we have grown up in this type of mentality that, you know, somebody say something to you, then you say something to them. Somebody say something wrong to you, you say something wrong to them. Somebody curse you out, you curse them out. This is the type of society and the type of mentality that we have grown up in, but we have to change from this stuff.
Yes, sir.
We have to change from this as being servants of God. And this is not going to come overnight. This has to be a practice. This has to be practiced. In some cases, it's a long practice, because some of these things go deep with us. Go ahead and read though. What verse you at?
13. Who is a wise man and endureth with knowledge among you?
Go ahead.
Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom.
Ooh, let him show out a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. See, this is what we're supposed to be speaking with wisdom now. And we're supposed to be meek too. Because this is how the Lord works with his servants, in meekness and humbleness. Let's go now. Let's go to Psalms, the 64th chapter. We're going to get back to the speaking in tongues, you know, speaking the different languages, because that's all speaking in tongues is, speaking different languages.
That's right, brother.
That's all it is. Psalm 64, and we're going to pick it up at verse 2. Psalm 64 and 2. Psalm 64 and 2. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
Go ahead.
Who with their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows, to shoot their arrows, even bitter words.
Even bitter words. Their words come out of them like a bow and arrow, like a bow shoots an arrow. Bitter words. Go ahead and read.
That they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not.
See, they shooting off at the mouth, and they don't fear not. They don't even fear. Go ahead and read.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter.
They encourage themselves. You know what? I told him off. I bet you won't say that to me no more. I really gave him a tongue lashing, didn't I? They encourage him. He do it again. I'm going to tell him some more. They encourage themselves. Go ahead and read.
They commune on laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them?
Go ahead.
They search out iniquities and accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
Go ahead.
But God shall shoot at them
with an arrow. Shall shoot at them with an arrow. Go ahead.
Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Ooh. Just by the things that's coming out of their mouth. He said God gonna shoot at them, and suddenly they're gonna be wounded.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
Ooh, you see that? You're gonna make your own. They're gonna make their own tongues fall upon themselves. In other words, they're going to bring grief upon themselves just by their mouths.
Yes, sir.
Just by them running their mouths. Go ahead and finish.
All that see them shall flee away. And all the men shall fear and shall declare the work of God.
Go ahead.
For they shall wisely consider his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him. And all the upright in heart shall glory.
See what man gonna do just by the words that they speak? They're gonna bring drama upon themselves. Now we better take note to this. We better keep this in mind when we out and then somebody say something wrong to us, or we get ready to try to check somebody and all this stuff. The Lord say, look, your mouth gonna bring drama. By you doing these things, your mouth is gonna bring drama. You're gonna bring drama upon yourself by your mouth.
It's written, brother. It's written.
Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs, the 15th chapter. Because this is how a servant of God is supposed to deal with people. This is how we're supposed to deal with people. And don't get me wrong, because we all have been guilty of this. But we have to know, in order for us to begin to practice this, we have to know, don't we? Proverbs, the 15th chapter, and verse 1. Proverbs 15 and 1. Because you have to know how to conduct your mouth. The only way you know how to conduct your mouth is you go in the Bible and start reading how to conduct your mouth, and then start practicing it.
That's it. Plain.
Proverbs 15 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
A soft answer turneth away wrath. but grievous words stir up anger.
See, if you give somebody say something wrong, you give them a soft answer, like a polite answer. You don't have to rail evil for evil.
No, sir.
Just give them a soft answer, and it might turn away wrath. But you know how some Israelites is, they don't care. They're going to still talk. You can try to reason with them and reason with them. Hey, man, best thing for you to do is just get away from them. Because, you know, it's not that you scared or you punk or none of that. You obeying what your God say.
That's it.
Skip what man say. Skip what they trying to do. Provoke you to anger and all that stuff. Look, do what God tell you to do.
Yes, sir.
You're going to come out on top all the time because God going to make sure he take care of them. Because it's better than a millstone was tied around your neck. You was cast in the ocean than to mess with one of these little ones.
Father, have mercy.
So, you know, that's why the Lord tell you, look, do what I tell you to do. Talk how I tell you to talk. And then when somebody come messing with you or talking crazy, I deal with them. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord, I will repay. I know this is hard, seeing that a lot of us are up in our late 20s and 30s and 40s, and me, I just turned 50. You understand? But these things we got to know, and these things we still got to practice however old we are. Go ahead and read.
The tongue of the wise useth knowledge and right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness.
Go ahead.
The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good.
He beholding the evil and the good. He checking everybody out. Go ahead and read.
A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit.
See, you always talking bad and always talking nasty to somebody.
Come on, brother.
That's a breach in the spirit. Something wrong up here. In other words, you have disconnected with being a servant of God somewhere.
Teach.
You have disconnected. He said a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness there is a breach in the spirit. People going to make you angry. You're going to get mad, but the book said, be ye angry, but sin not.
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs, the 12th chapter. Proverbs 12. Back up to Proverbs, the 12th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 17. Proverbs 12 and 17. Go ahead.
He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
The tongue of the wise is health.
The lip of truth shall be established forever.
The lip of truth shall be established forever. What about the lying mouth, though?
But a lying tongue is but for a moment.
Ooh, a lying tongue is just but for a moment. Meaning God gonna deal with you.
That's right. It's written.
He is gonna deal with you. So you don't want to have no lying tongue. If you do, you better put that away from you, because if you don't, God is going to deal with you. Let's go now. That's because, you know, a servant of God can't be like like men of the world. Like people of the world. We have to be different from the people of the world, don't we? Let's go now. Let's go to Judges, the 12th chapter. Judges 12. Because, you know, your tongue can sometimes get you killed just by you not pronouncing something right. Or you just not by you saying the wrong thing will get you killed. We at Judges, the 12th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. Judges 12 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Jephthah, wherefore passest thou over to fight against the children of Ammon? And didst not call us to go with thee?
Go ahead.
We will burn thine house upon thee with fire. And Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon. And when I called you, ye delivered me not out of their hands.
He said, you know what, we was at, Jephthah is a righteous man right here. You understand? So now the Lord used him to deliver the children of Israel. So when he was fighting against Ammon, he said, you know what, I called out for everybody, all the tribes to come and help. And when I did, y'all didn't even come and help deliver them out of our hand. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. And when I saw that ye delivered me not.
So he said, when I saw that you delivered me not, you didn't even come deliver them out of their, you didn't come deliver me out of their hands. He said, and when I saw that you delivered me not, go ahead.
I put my life in my hand.
He said, I put my life in my own hands. You understand? I figured out I had to do this. I had to take care of this business myself. Go ahead and read.
I put my life in my hands and passed over against the children of Ammon. And the Lord delivered them into my hand.
And the Lord delivered them to my hand. Go ahead.
Wherefore then are ye come up unto me this day to fight against me?
Now Jephthah is an Israelite now, and these other these Ephraimites, these are Israelites too. So they come to fight against Jephthah because he had put out the message for them to come help, but they didn't. Now they say, well, man, you know, y'all got the victory and everything. You know how Israelites get jealous. Y'all got the victory. Y'all ain't called us. You know, so we're going to come and burn your houses up for that, man. Then Jephthah like, well, why you come out and fight against us? You know, we tried to call you, but then what happened?
Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim.
Go ahead.
And the men of Gilead smote Ephraim.
Now these are Israelites fighting against each other. Go ahead and read.
Because they said, ye Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim, among the Ephraimites, and among the Manassites.
Go ahead, Manasseh. That's Ephraim and Manasseh.
And the Gileadites took the passages of Jordan before the Ephraimites.
Now look, the Gileadites, now Jephthah and his people, the Gileadites, they took the passage of Jordan. Ain't nobody coming through here. You understand? If you ain't a Gileadite, then you ain't coming through here. Go ahead and read.
And it was so that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto him, art thou Ephraimite? If he said nay.
If he said nay. So when they came to pass over to Jordan, he said, all right, that is the Ephraimites now. The Gileadites, they got it. They're holding it down. So when the Ephraimites escaped, they come and try to come through the Jordan, but the Gileadites stand there blocking them. And so now they ask him, say, look, because they are all Israelites, are you an Ephraimite? He said, no, I ain't no Ephraimite. Then what happened?
Then said they unto him, say now, Shibboleth.
He said, now, okay, you not no Ephraimite. Okay, say Shibboleth. Say that then. Go ahead and read.
And he says, Sibboleth.
And he says, Sibboleth. He didn't say it with the H there. And look what happened.
For he could not frame to pronounce it right.
So he could not frame to pronounce it right. Now the Gileadites, they said Shibboleth. But the Ephraimites, they say Sibboleth. So they had the same word, but different dialects, different pronunciations of this word.
Yes, sir.
So they could tell, well, look, if he says Shibboleth, then we know he one of us then. If he says Sibboleth, then he ain't one of us. In other words, he don't come from our tribe, he come from the tribe of Ephraim. They say the same word, but different dialects. That's what we call it today, right? Dialect.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. We're going to come right back here. Let's go to, let's go look up a word right here. We're going to look up the word dialect. And we're going to Reader's Digest Encyclopedia again. And we're going to look up the word dialect. Go ahead and find it. We're looking up the word dialect. D-I-A-L. Do I get it?
Step on it.
That's what it is. Okay. see it?
Dialect, yes, sir. This says a variety of speech.
A variety of speech.
Distinguished from the standard or literary language by variations of idiom.
Let's see if we can find it in this one right here.
Vocabulary.
Let's read it in this one. Yeah, this one I had it marked off.
Why you doing it like that?
Sorry.
Okay. All right. This is from the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Dialect. A regional variety of language.
A regional variety of languages.
Distinguished by features of vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation.
Features of vocabulary, grammar, or what else?
Pronunciation. From other regional varieties.
Other regions or varieties. So now look, the ones in the Gileadites said what? Shibboleth. The Ephraimites said what? Sibboleth.
Yes, sir.
So that they have what we call today different, same word but different dialects. Different dialects. You finished with that?
It says regional varieties and constituting together with them a single language.
Now, so it's a single language, but we got different dialects. Just like Southern people, they talk like, we know where people are coming from the north like we are. You understand? Then we know people that come from the south. They got a different dialect. They have a sort of slur to their words. So we say right on, man, you must be from down south.
Gotcha.
Say, yeah, I'm from Mississippi.
Gotcha.
You understand? Same words, but different dialects. Now, let's go now. Let's go back to Judges, the 12th chapter. Back to Judges, the 12th chapter. We're going to pick it up where we left off at. So, verse 6.
12:6. Then said they unto him, say now Shibboleth.
He said, say now Shibboleth.
And he said Sibboleth.
Go ahead and read.
For he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan.
Ooh, he got killed for just the words that he spoke, right?
Yes,
he didn't pronounce the right word and got himself killed. Go ahead and read.
And there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 42,000.
Now I wonder how many of them came through saying Sibboleth instead of Shibboleth. He said 42,000 of them fell that day, right?
That's right.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 7. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then died Jephthah the Gileadite, and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead.
Now this man got killed or slew because he didn't know how to pronounce a word. Same word that they were saying, but different dialects. Now, let's go to Psalms, the 22nd chapter. Let me give you another example. Psalms 22. Now, because some words just pronounce all the way different. You understand? You saying the same thing, but you just saying it in another language. I speak English, you speak French, or you speak Spanish. You understand? So we got different words, right? We saying the same thing, but we using different words, a different language. Let's go now. Let's go to Psalms, the 22nd chapter. Go ahead and read it. 22nd and 22 and 1. Go ahead.
My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me?
Go ahead.
And from the words of my roaring.
So now he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me, right? Let's go now. Let's go to Mark, the 15th chapter. Mark 15. Because, we know who said this. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? You think he said it in English? No, it wasn't no such thing as English then. So now it was interpreted that we may understand it in English. You understand? So now let's see what this means. Let's go to what? We're going to Mark the 15th chapter. We're going to Mark the 15th chapter, and we're going to pick it up at verse 33. Mark 15 and 33. Go ahead.
And when the 6th hour was come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
It said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
Which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken
now,
me?
you know some people say Jesus was speaking in tongues right here. I'm like, what? Okay, if he is speaking in tongues, he's speaking his language that he spoke at that time, right? But then it was interpreted, wasn't it? This means, but the prophet David had already told you, though, that he was going to say this. So he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted what? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? This was said already back in the 22nd Psalm, wasn't it?
Indeed.
But Jesus said in his language. We don't know how David said it in his language. But it was interpreted for us in what? English.
Indeed.
English didn't come along to the 800s AD. We talking David all the way back in 1050 AD or 1080 AD. I mean BC. Then we got Jesus coming along in what? 1 AD. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm sure they were saying probably they both were speaking Hebrew, but they had different dialects. We talking about 28 generations later from David to Jesus. So they probably were speaking the same language, but they were speaking different dialects. So he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Go ahead and read verse 35.
And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, Behold, he calleth Elias.
So they said, behold, he calling for Elias. Now look, Elias, who is Elias? That's Elijah, ain't it? See, they, in the old book, on the old covenant, they say Elijah. Under the new book, they say what? Elias. All of them Israelites, right? But they got different dialects.